I'm Allie Miller. Welcome. I'm so glad you're a part of this NVC for Couples Facebook group, and I'm so glad that you're here or watching this recording. And I wanted to talk a little today about apologies. I recently posted some things about it in our group, and I'm calling this the art of an authentic apology. Because there's apologies like just saying, oh, sorry, or I'm sorry, or I'm really sorry, or oh God, my bad, that was my fault. There's those kinds of apologies. And then there's like heartfelt, heart-centered apologies. And those are the kind I'm interested in talking about today. Because those are the kinds that are going to repair ruptures in your relationship. And what I really care about is helping you and your partner find your way back to connection when those disconnections happen. And when feelings get hurt, that can be very disconnecting. But an authentic apology, a heart-centered apology, can do wonders for returning you to each other, returning your hearts to each other, returning to love. So I wanted to share a little bit about my understanding of how nonviolent communication or heart-centered communication can contribute to authentic apologies that actually do lead to repair. Okay, so I wanted to start by giving you a few examples. So imagine that your partner has told you time and time again that they don't like it when you tease them about this certain thing. Related to maybe how they look or how they talk or their background. And you get it, but you sometimes forget. And you mean no harm. But sometimes you do the teasing, especially when you're with your parents. There's like this pattern you've noticed and your partner's noticed. Anyway, so imagine that you just teased your partner and they're upset and they're crying. How do you feel? Or imagine that you know your partner hates it when you interrupt them, but you sometimes just get so excited about what you are thinking about and want to share it. And so it just happened again. Your partner was talking, you interrupted them, and now they're pissed. How do you feel? Just check inside and notice. What do you feel when you imagine that your partner is pissed after you just interrupted them again? Or imagine that your partner tells you that they feel scared when you yell and that they really don't want you yelling anymore, whether you're arguing or not. But you don't see it as yelling. You see it as talking passionately. And the two of you were just talking about something and you raised your voice. And now your partner's upset and saying that you just yelled again. How do you feel? I'm going to give you one more example. So imagine that you forgot to unload the dishwasher and you know this is important to your partner because they're overwhelmed by all the chores that they have to take care of. And this is the one thing they asked you to do to really support them. And you forgot. How do you imagine you feel? Or how do you feel when you imagine that? So what I'm hoping this exercise does is highlight how difficult it can be when our partner is upset about something that we did. How difficult it can be to stay present and to not get taken over by guilt, shame, or fear. These three feelings, guilt, shame, and fear, are what I've seen to be the three main blockers to authentic apologies. If we are thinking on any level, like if you are thinking on any level that you did something wrong, bad, or punishment worthy, it's going to be very hard to stay present and listen when your partner tells you about something you did that was hard for them, something you did that upset them, something you did that triggered them, and now they're, crying or angry or frustrated. As long as you think you're bad or wrong for doing that thing, it's gonna make a heart-centered apology really challenging. Because here's what authentic or heart-centered apologies are about. They're first and foremost about listening to the impact of your actions or your words on your partner. So if your partner's upset about something, your tendency, if you're like most people I've encountered, including myself, your tendency is going to be to defend yourself, right? Especially if your partner is blaming you. When we defend ourselves or defend our intentions, what that ends up doing is giving your partner a sense on some level that you don't actually care about the impact. Because when you defend yourself or talk about your intentions, you're bringing the focus back to you. You're talking about you. You're talking about your experience. And if your partner is upset about something, if they're bringing something to you to say, I don't like when you do this, or it's hard for me when you do this, and they might be saying it in a really blaming way that's hard to hear. But if they're bringing something to you, letting you know what they don't appreciate about what you do or say, the most effective, heartful, loving thing you can do is be present for their pain, is be available to listen to how your actions actually impact them. Does that make sense? So it's not about quickly jumping to, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, right? That's a fear response. And it's not about saying, well, that wasn't my intention. This is what my intention was, right? That's a self-defense response. And these are often motivated by guilt and shame, because most of us were taught that there are good people and bad people. There are good behaviors and bad behaviors. If you do something bad, you're a bad person. If you do something good, you're a good person, right? This good, bad, dualistic way of thinking is screwing up relationships, left and right. And nonviolent communication teaches us how to shift out of this dualistic trap, this dualistic prison of good, bad, right, wrong thinking into, oh, there's all behaviors are attempts to meet needs. So there's no such thing anymore. If you take this all the way to its most radical, there's no such thing anymore as good behavior, bad behavior, good people, bad people. There's people who are behaving in ways that are always attempts to meet needs. Now, our attempts to meet needs don't always lead us to meeting those needs. And our attempts to meet needs sometimes hurt other people, right? And that's where apologies come in, right? Like if you tease your partner, even though you know they don't like to be teased, and even though you know they're upset when you do it, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. If you're or it doesn't even mean you did a bad thing. But if you're thinking on some level, oh, I'm bad, or I did the wrong thing, you're gonna experience some level of guilt and shame or fear of punishment that's gonna block you from being able to listen with empathy, curiosity, compassion, openness to your partner's experience. So what I'm trying to convey is how your own thinking leads to your own feelings, and your own feelings are going to contribute to how available you are to listen to your partner. I hope this is making sense, and I welcome any questions about it. So, say your partner is upset. We'll use the teasing example. You just tease them about their hair, right? And they don't like it when you talk about their looks, but there's something about their hair that you tease them about. Okay, so say you just tease them about their hair again. They're upset and they're crying, right? What would an authentic apology look like? The first thing it would look like is focusing on impact. So first thing, impact. Oh, I'm seeing that you're crying, right? You might just say that, like, I'm here. I see that you're upset. I really want to hear more. Is there anything you want me to hear about how what I just said impacted you? And then you're shifting the attention to them, right? So you're not keeping the focus on you and how wrong or right you are, how innocent or guilty you are. You're shifting your focus to them. You're saying, I want to hold space for how what I just did impacted you, because I care about you and I care about my impact on you. So that's the first thing. And then if they're willing to share, and that is going to take some trust building, but if they're willing to share, then letting them know what you hear. Oh, I'm hearing how hard it is for you when I tease you about your hair, because it reminds you of grade school when you got teased for it, or whatever it is. Letting them know that you really hear them and care about them. And then the second step is to share any regret. Like after they feel heard for their pain, to share any regret. Like, oh, yeah, hearing about how I impacted you, I really regret that I did it. I feel so sad knowing that my words contributed to that pain for you. I want to treat you with love and care all the time. Right? So you're still not explaining yourself. You're sharing what you're feeling, which is probably some level of regret if the guilt, shame, and fear aren't blocking that. And then the third step is to check, are they interested in hearing like where you were coming from, what your intentions were when you did that? And if they are, then you can share it, right? And again, in NVC philosophy, all actions are attempts to meet needs. So when you were teasing your partner about their hair, for example, what needs were you attempting to meet? And it might have been like, if in the example I gave, it was that you do it when you are around your parents. And so maybe it's like an attempt to connect with your parents. Maybe it's about belonging, because your family of origin always connected around teasing each other. And that's like a way that you associate with showing love, right? Or maybe it's like you were just having fun, or you were had a little to drink and you were just kind of going with the flow of the vibe of the group, and you had a lapse in sensitivity to your partner, right? None of this makes you bad. None of it makes you wrong. None of it makes you worthy of punishment or blame, right? And yet, you had the impact on your partner that you did, right? Given who your partner is and what their particular sensitivities are. So your partner's not wrong for having the reaction they had, and you're not wrong for doing the thing you did. This is really the essence of nonviolent communication. And this is one of the core things I share with couples, because when you can get out of the good, bad, right, wrong, who's worthy of punishment, who's worthy of praise, when you get out of that whole dualistic prison and return to, oh, these are my feelings, these are my needs. This is how I feel when I hear how I impacted you. And these are the needs that aren't met when I hear that. And this is how I was feeling when I did the thing that was painful for you. And this is the needs I was trying to meet then, right? It's a whole different conversation. It's a whole different landscape. Rumi has a famous quote that says, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. And nonviolent communication is the path to that field, because we're moving beyond right and wrong thinking. We're moving beyond who's good, who's bad, who's blameworthy, who's punishment worthy, who's innocent, who's guilty. That whole retributive justice mindset, the whole retribution, punishment mindset, into a way more compassionate view of human behavior, that we're all always attempting to meet needs. And sometimes in those attempts to meet needs, other needs don't get met. That is the human experience. We are all innocent in that. So can you bring that level of compassion to your actions when you do something that you regret, when you do something that you want to apologize for? Right? So this is way deeper than, oh, I'm sorry. Way deeper than, oh, my bad. Right? It's a really profound process of care for yourself, of care for your partner.